This is a basic tutorial for setting up APA 6th edition headers in Microsoft Word 2011 for the Mac. And this follows a basic guide that the university has given out to students in order for setting up these headers. Let me show you where to get this in case you don't have a copy of it. If you are in IWU's portal, myiw.indws.edu, you can go to the on-campus library services tab that's right over here, and you can once you're there, if you look over here on the left, you'll see APA style. And so if you just click on APA style, it takes you to this page, and there's a number of resources here that will help you, but the main one that you want is this APA 6th edition guide. And if you download that, you will wind up with this document right here. And this is a guide put together by the university, APA 6th edition guide based on publication manual of the American Psychological Association, 6th edition. So I'm going to be following that guide, specifically the instructions that are on about page 17. And I have seen this on a different page, give or take, on some printed out copies. But we're going to be following this section right here that's setting up headers. And specifically right here where it says headers in Word 2007-2010. Now that's designed for the Windows version. The Macintosh version is a little bit different. And so I'll show you where the changes are, but I'm also assuming that you have this guide beside you as we're going through this. So I'm going to hide that for a second. But I'm going to create a new document, brand new document here, and I'm going to make this page a little bit larger. And so the first thing in this, first thing that's in the instructions in the guide that's been created is it says, starting at the top of page 1, go to the insert ribbon. Well, there is a ribbon in Microsoft Word for the Mac, but things are a little bit different, and I'm going to show you really an easier way to do this. So what I would suggest you do to set up your headers is go to View up at the top here in the menu, and then go down here to where you see Header and Footer, and then that will put you in this header section of your document. Now, one thing that highlights immediately is this header and footer section of the ribbon. Click on that, and then it's very important that you do this first before you do anything else. Say different first page. And that's important because there are, if you go ahead and set up your header and you later go back and say different first page, the header that you've set up will become the second page header. So that's important to get out of the way right away. Another thing that's very important is that Word has some basic defaults that you will probably want to change. First of all, you'll notice that the font that we're in right now is the Cambria font, and that's one of the new default fonts in Microsoft Word. That's really not appropriate for a formal paper written in APA style. You want to use Times New Roman. Now I'll show you a little shortcut on this. You could go through here and scroll through and find Times New Roman, but let me show you a little bit easier way. If you go up here to the Format menu and you just choose Font, then you can just start typing Times, and you see that it starts to come up here. And so I'm going to choose Times New Roman, and then let me show you another little trick. If most of what you're doing in Microsoft Word is writing papers for your classes, there's no need to have to do this every time. So I would recommend if you go down here to this default menu, change that over, and it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to do this? But what this is going to do is from now on, every time you open up a document in Microsoft Word, it's already going to be on that Times New Roman font. You won't have to change that. Now, the second thing that Word does by default that we need to fix is that you'll notice here on these margins, they're actually 1 1/4 inches. APA requires 1 inch on all sides, so we need to fix that. Again, you could do this through the ribbon. I'm going to show you a better way though. Go up here to the Format menu and then choose Document. When that comes up, click on this Margins tab, and you'll notice here that your left and right margins are at 1 1/4 inch. So what we want to do is we want to bring these down to 1 inch. So I brought those down to 1 inch, and then same kind of button is down here at the bottom of this window, this default button. If the main thing you're doing is writing papers for Microsoft, for Indiana Wesleyan in Microsoft Word, you might as well change this default. So I'm going to hit the default here. We're going to say yes to that. And now we're ready to set that up. And every time we open up a new document in Microsoft Word, it's going to already be set to these margins and set to the correct font. Now, if you go down in that section in the APA 6 guide, about that fourth bullet, it says that you enter the phrase running head. You put a colon, and then with all caps you put in the title of your paper. So I'm going to just make up a title here, but something like the advantages of a budget. Okay, now this will tell you that if this title is longer than 50 characters, you need to start trimming it from the end, going back to the left. But I've already counted this ahead of time in my run through, and so I know it's correct. Now, one thing that was left over from before we changed our margins is, I don't know how well you can see this, but there is, I think I can zoom up here, there is a tab, there's a right tab that's in that margin. Now that right tab is fine, but if I just if I just hit the tab key right now, it's going to go to here, and it's very important that my page number be over here, where the actual margin is at the 1 inch mark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to where that tab is, and I'm going to drag it over here, and that puts it exactly where I need it to be. And now when I hit the tab key, notice that my insertion point goes to right here at the 1 inch mark. So now here still in the header and footer ribbon, I'm going to choose page number, and my page number is inserted. Okay, so that puts us exactly where we need to be. So I'm going to close the header section of the document. I'm back in the regular part of the document, and now I'm supposed to start my cover matter, that stuff that you put centered in the first page. I'm supposed to start that 2 inches past the top margin. And so if you look here at the side mark, look, here's 1 inch, and then that's where our margin is, and then we go 2 inches from here. So 1, 2. So where that says 2 right there, that's really where we want to be. So all I'm going to do is just space down to this. There's 2 or 3 other ways that this could be done, but I'm going to space down to that mark. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my text. With my text centered, I'm going to type the title of my paper, and I've taken the caps lock off, and I'll type the advantages of a budget. Okay, now the other thing that I need to set is everything in an APA paper is supposed to be double spaced, and so I do need to turn on double spacing. And right here in the ribbon, you see this the line spacing button. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to choose double spacing, or 2.0 is what that comes out to. So now I'll hit the return key again, and I'm going to put my name, or as a student, I'm not going to actually put my name here, but I'll put in a student's name. We know good old Biff Spunkelmeyer, right? And then I'm going to hit return again. This is where you put your professor's name in here. So you put your professor's name right here, and then of course you would put the actual course number, or the course title, basket weaving 403, and then a semicolon, and then your particular core group, something like ASB 2013. Okay, that sounds good. And then finally you put in the date. So we can put September 14th, 2011, which does happen to be today's date. Now, the only thing remaining for this cover page is to go down and add our honesty /plagiarism statement. So it's going to go near the bottom. I've just spaced near the bottom. I've never seen any exact rules as to where exactly it's supposed to start, but it just needs to go somewhere near the bottom. Notice that my spacing is still centered, so I'm going to move that over here. Now I can type it in, but one thing that I found that's much easier to do, here's a course syllabus. There's a sample page there. Notice that it's already here, so I'm going to just copy. And so to copy, and I've highlighted it, and then there's a number of different ways here, but I can choose edit and then copy. And so now I'm going to go back to my paper that I'm working on, and I'm going to just paste that back in. And so then my statement is there. All right, so now I'm going to insert a page break. I go to the insert menu, I choose break, page break, so that I make sure that my paper is starting where it should be, but I've got to edit that second page header. Okay, so now I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to go to the view menu. I'll choose header and footer. Okay, so I'm back up here. My margins are correct. Everything is where it should be. And so here I'm going to enter the title of my paper without those words running ahead. Here I'm just going to enter the title in all capitals. Put on my caps lock. The advantages of a budget, and notice that this right tab is still off again, so I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to move that to the right margin. When I hit the tab key, there's a centered tab there, so I'm going to have to hit it one more time. Yours may or may not be like that, but anyway, I'm now over at the right margin, and I'm going to go back to this header and footer ribbon. I'm going to say page number, and that's set. And so notice that now this header is different from the first page header, and now as I'm typing and I go to the next page, every page is going to be like this header, with the exception that the page numbers will increase. So the next page will be page 3, and the next one will be page 4. So you set this up once and it's done. So I'm going to close that. Here I am at my insertion point. I've got to put in my title. So I'm going to do this one more time. I take off the caps lock. The advantages, got to spell it right, of a budget. Okay, and now I'm going to begin my paper, and I can tab to start an indent, and I can start writing my paper. This is the first sentence of my paper. Okay, now one more thing that you can do so that you don't have to set this up every time. I mean, now it's set, and you can use this over and over again. Here's the way to do this. When you go to save this file, go to the file menu, choose save, and then underneath format, choose Word template. I want to make sure that you see this Word template.docx. I'm going to do that. Let's rename this title. It just automatically picked up the advantages of a budget, which would be pretty smart if that was what I was actually wanting to save here. But instead, let's call this APA 6th edition template. Okay? And notice it's going to save this. It's going to save this in my templates. All right? So let's do that. Let's save it. And I'm going to close this. And so let's say that, you know, I'm ready to write a paper for my class. So I go to Microsoft Word, and I create a new document. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the File menu, and I'm going to say New from Template. New from Template. And then I get this long list, all kinds of templates that are in here, but I'm going to go here to where it says My Templates. Okay, so I'm going to go to My Templates, and there it is. There is the APA 6th edition template, and that's the one that I want to use. So I select that, and say choose, and there it is. Now, you know, I can change this title. This is a different paper. This is a different class, so I can change these details. But notice that It doesn't have a title yet. I've still got to save it with a new title, but it's set up. Those margins are set. Those fonts are set. I don't have to do this each time. It's ready to go for any class that I want to use this in, and I can use it over and over and over.